Hi guys, Raj here from Trading College. Only one place to start really, and that's the big drop that we've seen in equities over the last couple of weeks or so now. So just zooming in on the weekly chart, you can still see we've got downside PTS targets. Third week in a row that we have a red PTS signal to the downside, and also obviously red dot red on the storyteller. Everything looking pretty south. Now, since we got the momentum trigger on the daily chart there, you can see there we have subsequently sold off pretty heavily, and we are now below 15,000, which could have been a psychological support. You can see we had a little bit of a stutter there, but the markets have just started to consolidate. We're yet to see how it reacts when the US opens, but generally all downside targets are still in play. So this is the 4-hour chart. We've still got some downside targets there that haven't been met there, but the weekly has been met. The monthly is due to be met in and around there, which is in line with the 4-hour target, as you can see on the far chart on the right hand side. So it's down, down, down still on equities. Now, in terms of how far it could go, what I'm going to do is just bring up the weekly chart, just look for some support levels. And you can see here there's a bit of a prominent support and resistance zone around this level. And then also we've got the low zone there that could also provide support. So not professing to know exactly where it's going to stop, but we've got two potential levels, excuse me, where it could find some support recently and sometime soon rather. And you can see here one's at about 14,340. The one below that is about 13,790. So keep an eye on those in the long term. Now, obviously, that means the other indices have sold off as well. So let's just look at them very, very quickly. So US Tech, so the NASDAQ, that is very, very weak. You can see that there, pretty much just as weak as the S&P 500. Let's go look at the Dow as well. That is super weak as well to the downside. Very strong selling as well, you can see here. Let's just go back to the US 500 for a second, just to make sure that, yep, we're still obviously got those downside targets still in play. Now, let's kick off with back in Europe and look at the FTSE 100, because despite the sell-offs that we've seen in the States, the FTSE 100 on the weekly has held up really nicely. We're only now just getting downside targets for the 4-hour and the daily, so it's pretty new, but I wouldn't really be shorting this one if the weekly is still looking so hot personally. Now onto some commodities. WTI, US crude, that has been performing very, very well. We've had some excellent moves to the upside, new long PTS signal as well on the 4-hour, going in line with the weekly and the daily, so that's pretty cool there. And also, just in general, just commodities have been storming up. You know, we've seen some really good bullish moves in commodities recently. So that there is corn, aluminium, which we've spoken about a few times. You know, that's really, really continued to kick on from the trade that we initiated in the live trading room around this date here. So that's been a really good move higher. Zinc as well has moved really nicely to the upside. So we've had some really nice moves in commodities. Coffee is one to keep an eye on. We've just recently had some momentum triggers in the likes of wheat. So I don't think it's closed just yet. It's just starting now. You can see here on the daily chart. So wheat, and also there have been just generally a few others in the soft. So sugar, let's just quickly look at that. I think it was a London sugar contract. Let's just pick that one up just to give you guys a look. As well, has been pushing up quite nicely. So some good moves in commodities markets. Although equities aren't trending, commodities are trending, and that's our job, to look for the best trending markets. Let's have a quick look at FX now. Can't forget about that. We've got a bit of a mixed picture in euro dollar. So upside targets on the weekly, but we're negative because we're down under the moving averages and under the zero line. Negative on the daily chart, and we've just really had a good sell-off with a bit of an upside retracement at the moment. So nothing going on there. GBP USD has been a bit weaker. You can see here on the day now, 3 days in a row, we've got red PTS signals. Good move down on the 4-hour chart as well. But just in general, we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. We're a little bit sideways for now, just until we work out what's really, really going on here. USD JPY has been the best trending currency pair recently. It has been moving up on this weekly chart, as you can see. Now we're having a retracement on the daily and the 4-hour. Obviously, we could see in next week or the week after, if that moves back in line with the weekly chart trend to move back upwards. So we've got to keep an eye on that. So that's also something to look out for over the coming weeks. Aussie US dollar. This one has been very, very bearish for a very long time. As you can see on the weekly chart, we're currently now back to moving back in line with that bear trend. Downside weekly PTS targets, downside daily PTS targets, and now downside 4-hour targets. So all confluencing there. So keep an eye on that one for next week too. So that's it from me. If you have any questions or any queries, please get in touch. Hopefully you've enjoyed some of the recent sessions we've had. We've been really busy, lots going up on YouTube and on our newsletter section. So keep an eye on that and speak to you soon. Cheers.